There we go. Now we're live. It's that Cinco de Mayo energy, that 5-5 portal, as they call it. I guess everybody was feeling a bit ungrounded and a bit like, woo, over it.
I'm not an awesome morning person anyway, but this morning was like, yeah, please let it be a Sunday. Is it Sunday?
Weekends don't feel long enough. We need an extra day in there.
I think I took an extra day this weekend, and it still didn't quite matter. So hello everyone.
Hi,
Good,
Stephanie.
beautiful
Hi,
day.
Cherise. Hi, Katya. Hello. How's it going?
I apologize for our tardiness today. It was me having technical issues. So thank you for your patience.
Time doesn't exist, Dr. Traci.
Oh, that be just so good when we get to that reality. Like, yeah. I love the truth that no time exists, but I also have to exist within the human paradigm.
The clocks. I was going to say clocks exist.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've noticed I don't know, there was a lot of fluctuations in the energy over the last few days. And we also had that meteor shower last night as well, which is pretty cool. Anybody see any meteors last night?
I did not get that.
I was too tired. I was working and then I went and crashed out.
How late was it?
Well, they said the peak was around 1 a.m. I looked outside at 11:30, so it was completely overcast because we've been getting nothing but rain and went straight to bed. So, nope, wasn't going to wait. The cloud coverage was too thick.
I hear that. I'm getting a lot of feedback from clients, patients, students that the weather is so reflective of how we're feeling, like just stormy, a little dark, pretty heavy. I don't know how many of you are feeling heavy, but I'm getting that with almost every patient that comes in with the first thing, where are you at? And so we want to check in physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And that heaviness is carried through all four of those elements of self.
Shedding lots of layers.
Yeah, isn't that the year of the snake?
Right? The old and in with the new, as they say. So we're shedding the old skin, We're doing the, like getting rid of all of the old. And I feel this is a good thing to get like a haircut too and things like this. And you're also kind of doing it symbolically. I think I might do that myself, actually.
Yeah.
Because it does. It helps to kind of cleanse what you were dragging around with you before that no longer serves you. You feel lighter. Sure. In fact, it's funny. I pulled a card, and that's what the card had. It said it was oath, but it was a woman's, like a hair braid, and it was being cut. And that's what it said. It said severing the old, getting cleansing, and getting renewal.
Yeah. So good. I think we're lagging.
Hear this? Christine says, Leprechaun walked in my bedroom last night. I screamed, and he turned around and scurried off. I had never seen one before. That's the third leprechaun I've heard of in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, that veil's getting thinner.
It really is. It's getting crazy thin. But it's also getting more frustrating. It's kind of hard to tell. I shared a post this morning that somebody had to remind me. It looked so realistic, but it was AI. And as soon as somebody pointed it out to me, I was like, son of a bitch, they got me. And I deleted it.
What was it?
It was just a video of ball lightning, but it looked really cool. And yeah, I should have known it was fake. The only giveaway, the only tell on the whole video was the license plates.
And?
On the cars. You couldn't really tell otherwise. So it makes me laugh how much, the veil is thinning, but they also want us to believe that everything you see is now made by the computer.
Yeah. We really are the most interesting creatures in all of the universes, I'm sure. We're so intelligent, and we are actually not intelligent at all. We have this incredible capacity of emotion, and we don't actually know what it is. It's so we have a heart that literally just by beating in resonance can heal disease of others around us. And we're like, I don't know how to stop feeling like this. I don't know how to stop thinking like this. We're so complicated. So complicated.
What was that one quote? We're drowning in knowledge, but starved of wisdom.
Yeah. Let's add love to that. We're starving for and wisdom. Yeah. That's a thing. So yeah.
So what have you been up to, Dr. Traci? You've been keeping busy lately?
Of course. Why would I take it any easier? I have all this opportunity to just slow down and take it easy. I've started a radio show. So I'm on Transformation Talk Radio. So it's a Seattle-based radio station with a pretty huge online component. They have 100 million listeners every month. And of those, 1 million listeners are unique. So I thought, yeah, okay, let's see how this goes. And I'm doing, so this last week I did my session on worthiness being the medicine, but also being the curse if we are unable to realize that part of our own self-healing codes is to actually to remember how worthy we are. And so that's my big thing right now.
Wow. I think that a lot of people are starting to waken up. So this is a really wonderful thing to do, to be holding space for the collective and being able to share this information by people that are really just kind of looking for insight as to why things are the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
Tall order.
It is a tall order. And if I can shift the thing that we put out there, I know I've shared this before and I hope I share it 1,000 more times. When we ask why, we're literally asking for the frequency and vibration that we're currently in, not to change, and more of the like energy to come to us. Because when we ask why, we're telling the universe, we're telling source, we're telling the divine field that we are actually willing to figure out the answer. We're willing to do the human work to understand what that is. So if you are not ready to experience more of what you're experiencing so that you can disentangle it, literally unbraid the hair and cut it, then don't ask why. Ask what do I need to know, or how does this play out? But when you ask why, it will deliver the same frequency, not a raised frequency, not a new awareness, but that same low frequency, so that you have all the data that you need to figure out where you're really at.
That's why they tell you to go within for your answers?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Yeah, so good. Yeah.
Karen says, I thought I got stuck in the matrix because I went to your page and they were both dated from 2023. We are stuck in the matrix. Every single one of us are kind of stuck in this artificial matrix, but you can feel that it's changing. That has been for some time now. I know people have been talking about this age of Aquarius that's been coming for a long time, but it almost feels like we're right on the cusp of change for the first time in quite a while. Like you can sense that the energies are shifting, and that, I think we're jumping from timelines too. There's all kinds of timeline, exchanges that seem to be happening. Lots more Mandela.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you. I think we're lagging.
We are just a little bit. I think there's a little bit of lag, but this is another thing. Technology, for example, has been crazy lately, and things are not seemingly working the way they're supposed to. Things are lagging and very slow. And people are also noticing that time, it was funny. There was an article that came out yesterday that said time was speeding up. And then I saw another article that was published in the Times of, I forget where, but it said that it was slowing down. So the two articles were completely in contrast. Scientists don't know what's going on. They're grasping at straws, trying to figure out why everything seems to be just weird right now. Not just with us, with the earth, with the rhythms, with the cycles, all of the things.
let's imagine that the second that we all choose not to shift, if we choose to not wait to shift for all the evidence that we've shifted, we'll come to realize that we're not on the cusp of that shift anymore. We've been in it probably about 8 to 10 years. But everybody's waiting for the permission to be like, don't you already know your two timelines? Like, you've already, in the last 10 years, we've already transitioned at least two timelines. And any here who has the openness and the trust and the capacity to see the possibilities, it's probably more than two timelines that we've each shifted.
Infinite, probably.
Oh,
It could be infinite timelines.
Sure.
But it's funny, I'm in a lot of these like matrix groups, and people are noticing a lot of Mandela effects. Like, there was one woman yesterday who said to her husband, like, let's go get dinner, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, that place closed down a long time ago. And she's like, no, it isn't. I went to lunch there like a week ago. And he goes, no, it's been closed for months. So they drove past it and it was closed down. And she was like, I swear to God, I just had food here. Like, this is the craziest thing. So 2 days later, they're driving by and the restaurant is up and running. And the husband looks at her like, what is going on here? And they stopped for lunch and they said, we saw you guys close down. And they said, we never closed down. We've been open this whole time. What are you talking about? And they both looked at each other like they were in the Twilight Zone, because they recognized they have the same conversation. What, in one reality, the restaurant closed, and in another reality, it didn't, and it kept running. And she joked, like, I loved that restaurant. I was not going to let it go. So she put herself into a new timeline where it stayed open.
And the coolest part is her husband came with her. Like, that's the challenging
exactly.
part.
They both looked at each other. She's like, we both looked at each other. We're like, we were batshit crazy, because neither one of us understood what was happening.
Yeah. And imagine what that feels like when the people you love don't shift those timelines. And that kind of goes back to what I was talking to you about when I did my radio show last week, is that worthiness of trusting that you don't have to explain who you are or why you're here to anyone. It's like, does the sun have to come out every morning and say, listen, I'm going to rise, I'm going to heat everything up, I'm going to give you energy, but I'm going to leave. But don't worry, because tomorrow I'm going to come back. And that's what we're doing. We are the sun explaining our existence to everybody. Like, stop.
I love it. You never know what's going to happen. That's the most exciting thing about being in a holographic reality, is there's all kinds of things that could get really weird at a moment's notice. You never know.
And the more open you are to the weird, the more exciting it's going to be to what are we going to create in this matrix reality? So good.
That's true. That means it's also a bit more malleable. We can also kind of change things a little easier the thinner it goes.
Yeah. And it's fun how, one day you're like, I can't change anything. And then you're like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore. And the next day you're like, oh, maybe it wasn't so hard. Yeah, it was. You changed.
And then the next thing you know, you're like, wow, I got to be careful what I say.
That is it. It's so good. Yes, Cheryl, that's true. A lion doesn't have to tell you it's a lion. And here's the coolest part about being a lion. It doesn't give a shit what you think it is. It's like, you can call me whatever you want, man. I'm the king of the jungle.
Oh man, it's going to be very exciting too for more people that are starting to activate these gifts too, because it feels like the thinner it goes, the more people that are kind of waking up to these new abilities, these latent gifts that they didn't recognize that they had. It's almost like we're pulling in these things from other timelines, other versions of ourselves. Like, hey, I didn't know I could do that. Well,
I love that you brought that up. And if we position it from, we are our truest, highest self, which I know a lot of us will talk about, that's our soul energy. Our soul is the common denominator in every single one of those timelines. And so what you have access to anywhere else, dimensions, timelines, lifetimes, you have access here. I like to teach that the 7 main chakra are our guardians, and they travel with every incarnation of our soul. But here in this timeline, their purpose is as the translators of our first language, which is energy. So everything is received immediately and instantaneously as energy, but it has to process through the human filtration system, which is our intuition. So it will move through the crown. So it has to have permission because we're sovereign beings to get through the crown. It will drop into the pineal, which is our ego's mind. The ego's purpose originally was to navigate the outside world so that the soul's purpose would stay in alignment with its truth. And as the pineal is activated, the intuition is received in forms of messages. This is in your highest good. This isn't in your highest good. And again, as sovereign beings, we have a choice which one we're going to pick. And it's not good or bad. You can pick this is not in your highest good. Shit will happen, but it's still going to be awesome. It's just going to be hard awesome. Or
you don't know how it's going to unfold for you.
100%, 100%. And so in making that choice, you either stay on your true path and your gifts unfold with ease, and you download self-healing codes and you heal generational trauma and you remember stuff, or you take the other path and you don't. You stay deep within that matrix. You need to be controlled and compelled in order to think, feel, and experience. But then if intuitively we don't choose, we let it happen, it happens to us, then that drops into the mind. We start thinking about it and it becomes a low density. And then we feel it, not from our soul, but from our body. There's a big difference between knowing what your soul feels and feeling pain and suffering and dysfunction in your body. Here's a piece I'd like to share about that. 80% of the time, when I ask someone, how are you feeling? What are you feeling? And they give me a description, it's not a feeling at all. It's a mental description of what their body's going through. We as human beings don't understand that our feelings are the compass. They are the navigation tool that soul uses. Is this in alignment? So we either have one of two feelings: love, which is a positive, not good or bad, a positive frequency and vibration, and fear, not good or bad, a negative frequency and vibration. And so made however many words are in the dictionary, we've made 7 billion ways of describing something, and it's really one of two things. Is this the frequency and vibration of love, or is this the frequency and vibration of fear? There it is. And if you don't know the difference, it's going to drop into your physical body. And those chakras, wherever it lands in your body as a message that's going, your chakras are interpreting that for you. They're trying to tell you what the message is. And it's why I do my favorite class, which is called Metaphysical Messages. We literally do a 3-part drop into the surface of the trauma, the story of the trauma, the root of the trauma. And I tell you what every cell in your body has been trying to tell you. Yeah.
Because if you ignore those messages, they will get louder.
They get louder and they get more dense. They actually become dysfunction and disease. Science has been proving for, I'm going to say, at least 22, 25 years, science has been able to prove that cancer and anger are the exact same frequency and vibration.
And not only that too, but if you ignore what you're meant to be doing, then the universe will kind of yank you back to the path. so to speak. And that's happened to me a few times recently where I was like, well, that didn't go as planned. And they said, well, actually it did, but you were trying to deviate from the plan. So we had to yank you back to the plan. Like, oh, okay.
And that's not a plan. That's a gift. You are so divinely guided that you're being yanked back to where you're supposed to be. If you weren't loved immensely, you would never be yanked back. And I'm not saying to you guys who are like, oh, I've never been yanked back. Yes, you have. You're not listening. There's a big difference because you are deeply loved, like deeply, swear word love.
More than you'll ever know.
Yeah, more than you'll ever know. You just have to listen. Yeah.
But the listening is the one thing that frustrates us most because sometimes it's very subtle. Sometimes it's not very obvious, the message. And so it's easy to miss. And then sure enough, you'll come back again and you're like, oh, but I'm hoping for a different message. I didn't like that message. So then so you ignore it again, even though no, you know what you're ignoring. And then sure enough, it does. It comes back to bite you in many ways.
There's the truth. Oh, I heard that message. Oh, I knew that.
I do with my tarot cards all the time too, because I'll pull a card and I'll be like, no, fuck this. And I'll put the card back. And then I'll shuffle it 3 more times. And then I'll pull the same card and I'll be like, damn. And the cards will be like, I said what I said. Like,
yeah, that's it.
It happened to me the other day. I kept pulling the moon. And I was like, no, I don't want the moon. No, give me something else. I want the sun. Thank you. And then I put the card back and I got the moon 3 times. And the friends that were with me, they just started laughing so hard. They were just like,
yeah,
because you can't ignore it. You can send it back, but it's going to come back if it's meant to be, you know, adhered to or listened to.
Our free will has limits.
Yes, it does. No
kidding. You can choose that, but I'm not going to let you make these kinds of mistakes anymore.
Higher self is like, excuse me, I outrank you.
You called me here for a reason. Yeah. Well, I think so when we chose human being, we were a little arrogant in that we were like, yeah, I totally know everything that's going to happen. And I choose this. And yeah, I could totally forget everything. I'll remember it. Like, we're so arrogant. And then we get here and we start to remember and we're like, ooh, that's a big assignment. Oh, ooh, that's a scary assignment. And it was for us when we chose it. And so you know what, Megan, that's it. We're going to rock this. Let's just choose that is the truth. Like, no, guys, we can do this. Like, it really isn't. It really, I'm going to say this. It's so simple. It's ridiculous. But we've made it hard.
We do that a lot, don't we, humans? Yeah. We overcomplicate things.
We really do.
Yeah, the human ego a little bit, but it's also the fear, as you said. It boils down to love and fear is a big one, especially for humans. The fear of judgment, fear of some kind of punishment, fear of, you know, just not being seen for who we truly are.
Yeah, and that goes back to my theme for the week is worth, right? I'm teaching about worth this week. And that's what it all comes back to. What in our right mind, notice I said right mind, what in our right mind makes us believe that we're not worthy, that we don't deserve to be met as who we are? And I'll tell you what that one thing is. It's self. If you believe that, then that's what you're going to experience. But if you choose to believe that you are worthy of everything, I like to teach it as mostly awesome most of the time. If in this moment you can recognize how awesome being human is, and that the lower minutia is literally that, it's not yours to change, to fix, to heal. It's yours to rise above. then all of a sudden that worthiness, it exudes from you. You're not looking for evidence of it out there. You're looking to push it so far out of your energy field. It's a given. Yeah. It's a given.
Jessica said, currently working on my fear of judgment and putting myself out there with tarot and astrology. That's wonderful, Jessica. Yeah. I dealt with imposter syndrome for so long. It was really hard for me to put myself out there. I was much more comfortable writing and having some kind of anonymous name up there instead of my own name. And it's funny how much of that was completely fear, because fear of not being accepted or fear of being judged. And so when you finally step into your power, it's not easy to leave that comfort zone. It was extremely challenging. And every day, you know, we start to kind of ease our way out of that comfort zone, but it's not for humans, especially. I feel that many of us are still kind of dealing with trauma and from the past.
Well, our past timeline, jumping timeline, the generational programming in our body, for sure. And here's a misunderstanding that I'd like to share. And Donna actually says it out loud. Donna says, how do we kick ego to the curb? I want you to hear this from, like, pretend I'm in a professional silo and I'm really serious. And I'm a doctor of metaphysical psychology and I'm looking at you. Guys, we do not want to kick ego to the curb. That's part of the collective corruption. Ego's bad. Ego is our filtration system. If you take that filter out, think of it as your furnace. If you decide, oh, this filter's dirty, it's disgusting, and you take that filter out and you throw it away and you don't put another filter in, you have no filter, your furnace is going to blow up in a year. Right? And so that's what we're experiencing when we say we're going to kick ego to the curb. What we want to do is meet ego's energetic purpose as part of our divine assignment. And let me just share this. May I share the divine assignment?
Yeah, of course. Please.
So let's pretend that you also think this is true. I'm speaking it as truth. If you don't, fair. If you do, awesome. We were all part of spirit energy. We are all a piece of the divine. Divine knows everything. There is no thoughts, no feelings, no unique experiences. There's no surprise. There's no excitement. There's no disappointment. Source knows everything. And like on this screen where you have that bright star that's activating just above Lara's head, I want you to imagine that was you, and you break off as a piece of source and you go to the divine intelligence and you say, I want to try human. I want to have thoughts, feelings, and experiences. And source says to you, that's great, but this isn't a party. This is an assignment. You're going to gather a very specific piece of information. This information is going to come as thoughts, feelings, experiences. You're going to have this whole timeline that you have to navigate, and you are not going to remember who you are or why you're here until at least the second quarter of your life. Yeah. And you're like, yes. Well, let me see. Ooh, I like her, and she'll pick him. And they'll come together and their generations of trauma will meet and there will be a cell that is my body. Yeah, that's my story. I picked that. And in that moment of you standing at the precipice of choosing this third dimensional timeline, because everything here is based on timeline, thoughts, feelings, and experiences, all of a sudden, Source says, listen, your sole responsibility, not your only responsibility, your sole responsibility is to gather all of this wisdom and then bring it back to the Akashic as part of the knowledge. But you don't have to go alone. I'm going to send you with this energetic partner called ego. Soul and ego are going to go together because you're choosing a third dimensional space. You have to have a body as the vehicle for the soul, but you also have to have a navigation system. So ego will navigate the outside world, creating filters that allow only the highest good in. And this body will carry every piece of information that you're going to gather, and you can just live your life on purpose. And then we get here, and we've gone through 12 generations that have arrived and haven't done their work. They didn't actually gather. Thousands of years ago, the grandparents taught the grandchildren how to commune with Mother Earth, how to use her wisdom, her healing, her energy, but also to continue to channel information every second of every day from divine intelligence. And so here we are, thousands and thousands of years later. We don't know how to commune to Mother Earth, so our bodies aren't okay. We don't know how to connect to divine intelligence, so we're not actually receiving that message. I want to change that. We know how. We just decide that it's, well, you know what? I got a couple minutes. I'm going to cleanse and purify my biofield. Oh, it's been 7 months. Could you imagine not brushing your teeth for 7 months? Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
I honestly, and I've noticed the difference between when I do clearings for somebody that takes care of themselves energetically, somebody who keeps up with their spiritual hygiene, because they'll have like maybe 1 or 2 cords. They'll have a couple little things here and there to clear. Their chakras will be a little unbalanced here and there. But then I'll go to somebody, they'll be like 85 cords. Chakras are damaged. They've got all their etheric is like non-existent. That's when I'm like, you have not been keeping up with your spiritual protection and your hygiene and your grounding and all of these things that you're supposed to do. And I hate to say it, but a lot of it is men too. Most of the time, it's no offense, guys, but almost every time I go to do a clearing on a man, I've noticed he's got 5 times the amount of cords and like way more stuff going on. They bottle up their emotions. That's always the aftercare that the guides are like, they're like, talk about it, let it out. Even if you just talk to yourself while you're walking around in nature, at least you're letting it out. It's like writing the letter to the person that you're not even going to send it to. It's just allowing you to release it so that way it's not trapped in the body. And it's not going to start affecting your health, your mind, your everything. It's going to throw your whole thing off.
Yeah. And to go to all of those things, the cords, the biofields, the chakras, the auras, they're all part of your team. You're not here alone. And one of the most devastating of all challenges that my patients come to me with is loneliness. You are not alone. You have a physical body. You have a soul. You have an ego. You have these 7
You
main
have soul
chakras
guides that follow you around absolutely everywhere you go.
Yeah.
You're never alone. Not even for a minute.
Ever.
Ever.
And
no,
so
ever.
These are all the things that for thousands of years we've literally had trained out of us. There's no training to connect to Mother Earth. There's no training to understand the chakras, listen to their language. There's no training to meet the guides. In thousands of years ago, as the elders were raising the children, they were literally, I shared this last week. I want you to imagine thousands of years ago, you're born into a tribe, and the second you're born, the elders are like, oh, this is who this person is. Your name is who you are. Like, my power energy is abundance. I would have been called Abundance, and somebody would have called me Bunny. Right? And so in that moment, in the first 5 years of our life, the elders teach us to know thyself, how to use our physical body, what our emotional competence is as our soul's guide, what our mental capacity is, how ego navigates this outside world, how to spiritually connect to divine intelligence and Mother Earth, and who we are as a character. What is our role in this play? And in that moment, like at 5 years old, we're matched with our absolute ideal and most perfect opposite. Because everything we're weak in, they are strong. Everything we are strong in, they are weak. And yeah, it's arranged and it's perfect, because then we're let loose out into the community. And that community surrounds us to keep us accountable. And we surround that community to keep them accountable. We're missing all of these pieces. Most of us don't have a daily spiritual shower. Most of us don't have a community of accountability where we feel safe being held accountable, but we also hold them accountable without judgment. And we don't have expert mentorship, which comes from the elders. And that's the world that I'm creating, is a community where that is the foundation, because that's what's going to bring us back to remembering who we are. Spirit energy, who chose a human experience, who has a very specific assignment of what we're here to learn. And in the meantime, let's heal our generational trauma.
I love that. I love the idea of also having like grandparents kind of spending time with the children more and things, because like there was this one, I forget what city did it. It was a little town that decided to put a child care place right on next to an old folk home. And so the old folks was able to come and spend time with the children, and they were able to kind of interact. And it was absolutely adorable. You could see them get younger just by spending time with the kids. Yeah, it was mutually beneficial. It was beautiful. And I was just, oh my God, it got me so choked up, because you could see how genius that would be. I mean, yeah, some adults aren't really into that, but that's fine. That's you know, you can have that different things for different people. But I think that children spending time with grandparents, like after I was away for a week, I went to Scotland for the week, and then I left Aiden with my mom. And I said, you know, how did you have fun with Grammy? He goes, I loved hanging out with Grammy. He had the best time. And she spoiled him. She never took me out for ice cream right after dinner on the weekends and things like that. But it's keeping them younger too. You could tell that it actually kind of, mutually beneficial.
And there's not the exhaustion of having just given birth and the terror of having to raise this human being, not even knowing your own self yet. The elders raising the children gives, well, probably back then they were 13 or 14 years old, so it's a little bit different now. But it gives the parents a chance to become and still keep the generations flowing. And we lost that somewhere along the lines, and we started carrying the pain. Did you know, and I saw it somewhere, and I don't have the exact number, but we carry up to 12 generations of trauma in ourselves. So our thoughts and our feelings are supported and fed by our cells, our cellular memory. Up to 12 generations. That's over 4,000. I think it's 300, but it could be 500. Let's make it dramatic. 4,500 people. 4,500 people. Stories and illusions and experiences, good, bad, beautiful, or ugly. And then we want to know why we feel heavy. But we chose this. So we're also magical. What do you want to do? Do you want to remember that you're magical, or do you want to sit in the heaviness of all of this human being?
Oh, I love that. Jordan just said, my mom just turned 70, but you would never guess. She looks like she's in her 50s. Love that. You're only as old as you feel.
Yeah.
My father was 65 when he had me and 69 when he had my little sister. My dad was born in 1921. Yeah. And he'd be 103 today. So
That's
it was
great.
almost like I was being raised by my grandfather, but at the same time, like he was my best friend and my biggest fan. And I learned so much from him. So much.
Right. And here's that other piece. What a gift that you've had to be able to say, I learned from him. The good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly. I learned from him. What if, despite what we believe the relationship is, has been, or was, what if we could just jump into a container, even if it's for 5 minutes, and be like, I learned so much, and I chose them already knowing who they were. Like literally, you guys, we read our mom's whole book from birth to death, whole book, and we're like, yeah, she's a good candidate. And we read his book, whole book. Oh, he is not a candidate. No. Oh yeah, okay, universe, these are my parents. Get them together. It's a gift.
They had a divine appointment, even though sometimes it was a short appointment.
Yeah. Well, and for me, my biological father and my mom, super short appointment. And thank God, because I did get to know him later. It's like, yeah, those lessons wouldn't have rolled easily off of me. But as he made me, his parents were my grandparents. And they were the elders in our family 100%. And so it's like, oh, I see how that happened. And I could be so grateful. Or I could be super bitter that this man weaved in and out of my life, my whole life, coming in at chaos, creating chaos and leaving, coming with chaos, creating
well, there's
chaos
a lot you can learn about this too, because sometimes they only have that contract to bring you into this world, and that was it. They didn't have a bigger contract than that. And sometimes it hurts. Like there's been several times where, as part of their Akashic Records reading, people will be like, well, why did I have this abandonment happen? Why did my mom leave? Why did my dad leave? Why did my, father choose to, did he plan to leave and die at this time? And sure enough, we find out in many cases, they were all part of the plan. And it's almost like more cathartic in some ways. It's healing to learn that it wasn't you, that it was just part of the plan.
Yeah. And here's the part. I love that that's what you do. I love that this is what I do. And I love that people stay unconsciously incompetent so I can keep doing this because I love this. But guys, you don't need us. You don't need us. You're here to figure all of
Nope. More glitches in the matrix. Oh, there we go. I hear something. There we go. Now it's back.
Yeah. So people like Laura and I show up on this timeline because we're like, oh, they're not going to remember. I'm totally going to be like, I am totally going to rock this. I'm going to gather all of this information and I'm going to make it really hard on myself so that I have a really great story for those who are still making it hard on themselves too. And then here we are. I'm in my mid to late 50s, and you're still a young pup. But like, here I am in my mid to late 50s going, oh my God, that was such an awesome story. Like, I'm so glad that the first 35 years of my life were that shit show, because I can sit here and look at that and go like, I've learned so much. I have so much to share. That all had to happen.
Yeah. Oh, beautifully said, Dr. Traci. And I love how we're healing this for the next generation too. It's like, once we recognize these aspects and heal it within ourselves, we kind of pass that on to our children as well and make it easier.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And again, they chose us. Right? They're no different. Any moment in your life that you think that you don't have what it takes, or you've disappointed them, or they're disappointing you, they chose you. They knew you'd have everything they need, good, bad, beautiful, and ugly. And that's it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I think that the family wounds are some of the deepest that we work on in this lifetime, and that's why they became family, though, is so we couldn't run away so easily because we had to kind of face it in that fact.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you look at it in terms of metaphysics, self is the foundational block. So physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, character. And then above that is our influential others, which is intimate love, parent, child, social. And then above that, and very small, is life, career, finances, quality of life, vision for the future. Kind of think of it as a snowman. The self is big, others is medium, life is small. What happens though is that that big foundational piece gets overloaded. And so it's small. We don't know our physical, emotional, mental, spiritual character, but our intimate love, parent, child, social gets put on that. And so if you had a really small snowball and you roll up this gigantic influential others ball and you go to put it on top of that small cell, what's going to happen? It's going to get crushed. And then there's nowhere for life to be that's safe. But what if you have this gigantic foundation of self, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual character? You could then roll up influential others to any size you want. And life can be as big as you need it to be because there's a foundation there. So let's be really well-balanced snowmen instead of like just this gigantic ball of snow in the middle of nowhere being able to do nothing. Let's do that.
The universe is always giving us homework.
Every minute of every freaking day.
But it could be worse. You just don't want to wait till the last minute. Aiden is learning that now. He's got a project that's due tomorrow, and he's been waiting, dragging his feet, doing the homework, and he didn't do it, and he's supposed to. So now he gets to spend a few hours tonight finishing it. And it's kind of like that in life, too. You know, you put it off for too long, and then you got this big mess in your lap, and you're like, well, crap, I brought this on myself, didn't I? By putting it off way too long. Procrastination.
And here's the really shitty part that we don't, like, as a kid, we don't realize. It's like I have 3 months to do that. In our adult excitement or in our spirit excitement, we could be like, oh my God, I'm going to learn so much in 3 months. Because we have to learn and then process, and then something else opens up, and we learn and process, and something else opens up. And then all of a sudden, this magic happens. But when we procrastinate through that timeline, which unfortunately, fellas, exists, like Aiden did, and we get to the end and we jam everything in, yeah, we get it done. But we didn't learn anything. We didn't have any thoughts, feelings, or experiences. We missed out on the whole human being, and we became what the corrupted energies want us to be. Human.
Yep.
And so let's stop avoiding, ignoring, escaping. Let's be the magic we are. What is that? What is that magic? Right?
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear more about your radio show that you've got going on. I'm going to share the links for everybody.
It's called Self-Healing Codes with Dr. Traci on the first and the third Friday of every month at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to take a singular word and I'm going to deprogram it from your energy. So lack of worthiness is what we did this week. I'm going to do a little lesson on the power of accepting worthiness. And then I download that into the body. And so it's an energy medicine, it's an education, but it's a self-healing code that once it's loaded in, it's in your body as a frequency and vibration. And it's going to try to move everything that doesn't resonate with it out, which is super exciting. I love it. I love it. Yeah. And anyone who wants to step into the foundation that I've talked about, where your snowball at the bottom is big, These are the 3 things that you need, and you do have a lot of it here. So let's be super grateful for Laura. Thank you for being here for us. We really appreciate you. We have to have 3 things, and they're part of the sacred contract we made with our divine assignment. We have to have a daily spiritual practice, a way that cleanses and purifies our chakras, our 3 main sacred centers, our 4 biofields, that cuts all of the cords of attachments, that seals leaks. We have to have a daily spiritual practice. 90 seconds is enough. We have to have a community of like-hearted and like-minded others to be able to correspond with, to talk with, to experience different perspectives, to learn from. And that's what you have here. And third, you have to have an expert guide and mentor. What makes them an expert guide and mentor? They do their own work honestly. And they're not going to hide the work they do. If it's hard, shitty work, they're going to share it's hard, shitty work, but they're going to do it. If it's super awesome and it feels like they don't have any work to do in that moment, they get to share that too. But they are always a few steps ahead of you. And that's what you have with Laura. That's what I offer in my community. And how I'm going to offer that to you guys is a free masterclass tonight. If you've already been to the Activate Your Power masterclass, I invite you to come again, because I follow a cosmic calendar. And this month in the cosmic calendar is May. This is the calendar energy of character. So who you say you're going to be and who you show up as. And so this month, when we do Activate Your Power, we're going to do it based on cleansing and purifying everything that is leaking the energy of our true character, that is creating cords of attachment, that is blocking the 3 main centers. And we'll move into Activate Your Power. And so tonight at 7 is the free masterclass, and next Tuesday, the 21-day cycle starts. And in this quest, I teach you how to do the spiritual shower in just 90 seconds. So at the end of the 21 days, you have a 90-second daily routine that cleanses, purifies, cuts cords, seals leaks, and aligns you to your truth.
Beautiful. I keep telling you guys about the importance of spiritual hygiene, and this is a great opportunity to get some tips and tricks on how to keep consistent, because consistency is everything with this. It really is important. So I love that you do it for 21 days. It allows you to kind of get new, better habits in line.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much for this conversation today, Dr. Traci. It's always wonderful to have you around. Thank you so much for bringing so much knowledge forward. And I think that a lot of people are kind of stepping into their power. And when that happens, it's a good idea to have a sense of direction as to where you march in that. So thank you.
Thank you. How about you? Do you need anything?
I feel great. Honestly, I have never felt more aligned in my life.
This is so good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's good to see you in this place.
I love you all. Thank you, guys. Make sure that you take Dr. Traci up on her offer. There's the link for the Activate Your Power Masterclass tonight at 7. That is 7 o'clock Eastern time, correct?
Eastern, yeah.
Perfect.
Eastern.
So those of you in Australia, you'll be up by then, hopefully, as well. So
okay.
You'll have plenty of opportunity too there. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Lots of love, everyone. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Mwah. Bye, everyone.